Three. Hey, welcome back to another episode of these crazy fools that just keep eating meat and talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. We got our friend Charmaine in today for a little chat about food and sourcing food. She is known online as Sugar-Free Self-Care. So she was kind enough to pop in real quick and say hello on our last minute video here. So Charmaine, why don't you say hello to the folks, tell them what you do, and tell them what sourcing food's been like for you.
Hey guys, what's up? So I'm Charmaine. I call myself a sugar-free weight loss coach. So basically, I specifically help women who are very busy and stressed and they go to sugar and carbs for comfort, and I help them not eat those foods and take care of themselves in a way that serves them and they can lose weight. So I do eat low carb. I eat probably at the moment maybe like 70-80% animal based, and then the rest like cooked veggies. I can't handle raw veggies, but anyway, so TMI. And so in terms of how I buy food, because I love meat, I'm eating like a lot of beef and eggs right now, and pork. So my go-to place for shopping, because I also want to save money and stock up on all these good animal-based foods, is I go to Costco. I know it's not always the top quality grass-fed ingredients, but in this time, it does help to at least let me stock up on those foods. And it, like, you could buy a pretty good amount for some good prices. So I usually have go-to foods that I buy, usually that I cook in bulk. So my boyfriend and I, we use an Instant Pot. We love to cook with that thing. It's amazing. So right now we are in a beef chuck roast phase. We're just eating that like every day. So we get like, you could get, I think, up to 3 big meat items in Costco at a time, which, it's a bummer. Usually we'd want to get like more than that. But at the moment, we just buy the chuck roast in bulk, like about maybe 6 to 7 pounds each, which is not that bad. It's like $4.99 a pound right now. So it's really good. And we just, then we just buy it and then we cook those batches at home. So I get that. And then I also load up on the eggs at Costco. You could get so many eggs, like 2 dozen for like $5. Huh?
A pallet of eggs?
Yeah. You can get so many eggs at Costco. Before they restricted it, but now I think you could buy, well, we get 4 at a time, four 2 dozen crates. I don't know what you call it. So that's plenty of eggs for like 1 to 2 weeks. And yeah, we only have to shop at Costco basically every 2 weeks. And we use, what's it called? We use Instacart. So we don't even have to drive there.
Oh, wow. You just get dropped off.
That's like my newest hack. Like I was like not sure at first, but damn, when you go get the Instacart, oh my God, it's a lifesaver. Like shoot, game changer.
So Instacart is a service that where you order your groceries and they bring them to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how much do you see it adding on to your bill, would you say?
Well, you could be a member for, gosh, my boyfriend signed up for the membership. I think it's like something like 40 something a year to save on the delivery costs each time. So you save money, but probably each transaction, maybe it's somewhere from $6 to $10. I honestly, Michael orders it, so I don't really know.
So that's not bad, $6 to $10 for,
yeah.
And you're only doing it every 2 weeks.
Yeah. To me, it's worth it because we would spend before like an hour and a half waiting in line in Costco sometimes. So,
right.
But it's better now, but it could still have a line every time you go. But yeah, and also we do sometimes if you just need quick meat, we like to go to Northgate and they have really cheap pork cuts for like $1.99 per pound, and the beef is probably still about $6.99. But if you need it just like really quick, you could get like a lot of meat there. They usually have a lot in store. But
it's interesting you mentioned Northgate because I was looking at this app that Justin told me about called Flip. FLIPP, and I see ads for Northgate Market on there, and I've never actually been to a Northgate Market.
Oh, what?
Yeah, and I later in this video I have some slides from their ad I was going to show. So, but yeah, I've never been there. I don't even know where it's located. But that's one of the interesting things about using an app like Flip is it shows you the ads for all the stores in your area. And I'm surprised at how many stores I'd never noticed before. Just drive by them and didn't even know they were there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Northgate's pretty cool. They have a lot of, it kind of reminds me of like a Filipino market. Like they have like meat available and you could talk to the butcher and all that. But yeah, the ones that they have prepackaged there already is pretty affordable. Like they had before at one time, yeah, we were just getting buttloads of pork for like $1.99 a pound. So it was a good alternative when there's pork running out at Costco.
Right, right. Absolutely. Well, that's some solid advice. I never even thought about trying to use Instacart, but that might save some time for sure, especially when the lines are long. I know one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video is because I knew some of my friends down in Melbourne, Australia, are getting locked down for the first time. So this is all kind of new to them. And when our lockdown started here in Southern California, I know I stood in the rain waiting to get stuff, and I stood in the hot sun waiting to just get in the store. You know, and it would be in a big line, and they come out and say, well, first 300 people are going to get in when we open, and then we have to stop, and then, you know, we'll let the rest of you in when as people leave, you know. So nobody really anticipated that. And then when you got in the store, you didn't know what was going to be in there. Would there be meat? Would there be toilet paper? You didn't know, right? So that was one of the reasons, in particular, I wanted, you know, a lot of us are meat-centric eaters, so I wanted to focus on what we eat, where we got it, and how much prices fluctuated, and when stuff was available and not. So was there any times when you actually couldn't get what you wanted, Charmaine?
Oh yeah, like when the pork was running low, you could only get 2 or 3 at a time, and usually my boyfriend and I would stock up. Like we'd get those huge like pork butts that are like 11, what is it, like 8 pounds, and because you have to cut it, and nobody
Yeah.
wants to buy it usually because you have to cut those things. But it's such
Right.
a steal. It's usually $1.99 a pound, but then when the pork shortage hit, it became, the price increased to like $3.99 a pound, and they weren't available every single week. So that kind of sucks. Like sometimes like week to week, you just don't know what meat will be available. So Michael and I have had to be a little bit more flexible with our meat choices, but then for some reason, I don't know, the beef chuck roast is like a little cheaper right now. So we are just taking full advantage of that, and it tastes so good. So yeah, we'll just pay a little bit more for that.
So, and what type of cooking do you guys mostly do? The Instapot, and what else?
Oh gosh, like that's mostly it. Like I'll fry eggs and then I'll bake bacon in the oven, but that's like literally the extent of my cooking. The only thing I'll cook, because I've been eating some cauliflower rice, so I would make cauliflower fried rice, so just like the cauliflower rice and fried
Sure.
eggs and shrimp, but that's the extent of it, like in a pan, and that's about it. Like we mostly use the Instant Pot for meat, and just tenderize it, like pressure cook it for like two hours or so.
2 hours. It must be pretty tender at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, super good.
So tell me, roughly how many eggs do you think you eat in a day?
Oh, well, I was eating like 3 to 4 a day, but I'm kind of like decreasing it now a little bit. So probably right now it's maybe like 1 to 2, but before I was eating like 3 to 4 a day.
So,
On
Are
and
you
top of,
still one meal a day, Charmaine?
yeah.
oh,
So normally I eat, like this is my regimen right now. Like I'm eating like 10 ounces of beef, 3 slices of bacon, I have some shrimp and then the cauliflower fried rice. So that's what I eat in one meal. And then I fast for like 23 hours.
So I was talking to a family member just yesterday about egg yolks and how nutritious they are. Did you want to maybe say something about the value of like an egg yolk as far as overall nutrition goes?
Oh, I'm not like the best at knowing the exact value, but I feel like at least for me though, I mean, it's just a lot more satiating. Like I just like the egg white. Like I don't. If you eat that, like I will just not. It will not do it for me. I will like feel like I didn't eat
Yeah.
anything. But yeah, I'm not so technical on what it actually does for you. But I just know that the fat content in there just helps me to feel a lot more full, and it's always a good little like buffer for when I eat a lot of meat, because I usually can eat for the most part maybe about 10 ounces per meal, and then after that I would feel like it's too much meat. So it's a good addition to my meal just to help me stay fuller longer. But yeah, it's
Well,
not like it hasn't made me have heart issues. My blood pressure's been a lot better even though I eat eggs. But yeah.
yeah. Well, and you're on the smaller side too, right?
Oh yeah, I'm super small.
Yeah, you're like a third my size, maybe. So,
4 feet 9 inches.
yeah. So, well, excellent. I appreciate you sharing with us, and I'm sure that's going to be helpful for people out there. Justin, and feel free to drop out. I know you've got an appointment coming up soon, so don't worry about it. Just do what you got to do. And then, Justin, why don't you give us a rundown of what buying meat has been like for you with the COVID crisis and the pending shortages and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I really haven't had that much trouble. So in the beginning, so I've been using the Flip app for probably like 4 or 5 months now. So close to when the pandemic began. Just really funny because I was like really worried because I was like, man, we're gonna have a shortage, it's be all messed up. There's no way to, predict and stuff like that.
Right.
And so the first time I went out to really stock up towards the beginning of the pandemic, I got in a fight with a butcher. And over ribeye steaks,
Was it the butcher
because
or the
at the
store
time there
manager?
was no limit. It was the butcher. I got in a fight with a butcher. Yeah. And so I go up to the counter and I'm like, can I get 20 ribeyes? I think I asked for 20 ribeyes because I don't know. I was trying to stock up. And I think they were like $5.50 a pound or something like that, or like $5.77. And so I go up and he goes, what? I don't have time for that. Can't you see that I'm busy? For an order that big, you're gonna have to call in ahead. And I was like, okay, how many can I get? Then he tells me, come back in 30 minutes. And I was like, all right, I'll be back in 30 minutes, which I feel like he didn't actually expect me to come back in 30 minutes, but I did. And he had my ribeyes. So I was happy. Also, at the same time, they had ground beef for $2.99 a pound. No, I think it was like, yeah, I think it was like $2.99 a pound, and no limit. So I mean, I think in the beginning, I must have bought those 20 ribeyes and probably like 30 pounds of ground beef. So like I was stocked up for a good while. Now currently, so I usually go early morning if I'm gonna go grocery shop. And so I really haven't noticed any problems with lines or them running out of something. They're willing to give me the deal that's on the Flip app. So I kind of avoid markets like Northgate, Superior, because I don't know, the meat doesn't seem as good to me. It's usually less thick. It's also that um, I got like really sick from having some short ribs from one of those markets. I can't remember now. And I think because like they put it in sauce. So for those that are extra sensitive, if you do go to the counter, make sure you ask them if it has spices or different sauces, because sometimes they marinate a lot of their meats. You know, obviously, if just a cut of ribeye or a cut of New York or something like that, you're probably okay. But there's other ones that are sitting there marinated and it's not always labeled. So just a caution. So that's why I stick to the big, just the typical big stores, that are around here when they're on sale. Yeah, and then ground beef. So a lot of my ground beef, I get it from the 99-cent store by my house. It's usually $2.99 a pound. It's USDA premium. At least that's what the package says. And I believe the reason why they sell it cheaply is because it's 80/20, but it's a month old. So like you'll look at it and it'll be like whatever. So if I went right now, I'd probably find like July 28th, like ground beef or sell by July 28th or something like that. But it's frozen. And so my assumption is that they have a deal with some beef producers where they package it, but if it all doesn't get sent out or used by Albertsons, Stater Brothers, whatever, there's probably some kind of deal to repackage it with this one, and it's just little. But I haven't had any problems with it. I mean, that might freak people out, but as long as it's been frozen for that entire month, it's fine. As long as you keep it frozen and then just defrost it and cook it the same day. And I've been fine. So those are kind of my strategies in a nutshell.
Very cool. Yeah, I know, like Charmaine was saying at Costco, like currently, they had a restriction last time she was there of like 3 trays. But I used to buy a lot of meat at Sam's Club. And I was happy with the quality, but there was days when you could only get 1 tray of meat. And then there was other days where you could get 1 beef, 1 pork, and 1 chicken. I typically don't buy chicken. I don't eat that much pork. I eat it occasionally. I really like smoked pork. But typically I just want to eat steak. I used to eat a lot of ground beef, but the ground beef at the Sam's Club used to be ground fresh every day from Chuck. And I like that better than the other. Sometimes the only sufficient quantity of meat I could buy was a torpedo. So we like to joke about Brandon's torpedo. I've got a torpedo here. I'm going to bust it out.
Oh, man. Watch out. He's about to fire.
So this one's been in the freezer. This is my freezer meat. So this is frozen solid right now and probably can't hold on.
I think that's bigger than Charmaine, the guest we just had. I wish you would have brought that out while she was here.
Yeah, Charmaine is roughly the same weight as this, and she runs around. I don't know if you've seen that picture of her with a log on her shoulders running through the field, but this is probably about the size of the log that she was carrying. So anyways, what I do is I actually mostly feed this to my dog now. So I stopped eating the ground beef because of concerns of histamines. I was fighting that psoriasis for a while, but I still had some of these in the freezer, which I bought at a time when it was the only affordable meat I could find. And instead of thawing the whole thing out to break it down, because I don't need it all at once. My dog's a little dog, so I only need like a pound at a time. That lasts a couple days, So what I did is I just grabbed my Sawzall and I sawed the torpedo into sections and then rewrapped it and put most of it back in the freezer, and then just take out a section of like, 8 inches of it at a time. So anyway, so that's how I handled that.
How
So
many pounds is the entire torpedo?
they're usually between 9 and 10 pounds. So
Nice. And what's the price per pound? How's it work out?
this one, when I bought it, and the price fluctuated a lot. So there was times when you could buy 80-20 in a torpedo like this, or a bulk chub pack. And it was $2.50 a pound. This one was actually $2.18 a pound.
Wow.
So, and this one is exactly 10 pounds. I can rotate the sticker in there. So can you read that?
A little blurry, but yeah, I think
All right. So
it's upside down. It says like 217 something. There you go. Yeah, it's 21.97 for 10 pounds. Our mathletes can figure that one out, I suppose.
So that's a good way to eat on the cheap, Now, I'm sure in a perfect world, we all wish we were eating grass-finished, regenerative agricultural beef, but a lot of us just aren't there yet based on availability, based on price. So this is kind of the extreme end. I'm sure this was grain-finished, but it is quality meat. And if you don't have a histamine intolerance or something like that, you probably do just fine on it. So another way I buy meat, mostly now, this is an example. I picked this up yesterday. This is a package, like a family pack of New York strip steaks. I picked this up at the local supermarket. It was on special. So this package is about $30. You could see there's 5 big juicy steaks in there. So, and that's enough food. It was about $30, and that's about enough food for me for 2 days. So you can kind of roughly do the math at $15 a day to eat really nice steak. So,
hey, at a restaurant, that's $15 just for one meal, and those steaks are usually smaller and have less fat on them when you get them at a restaurant.
And I noticed, I bought those at Albertsons, and I noticed today, I think Stater Brothers has the same cut of steak on sale for like $3.99, and I paid $5.77. So by shopping the sales, I don't know if it's the same way everywhere else, but here in the U.S., the stores tend to start new sales every Wednesday, and with an app like Flip, FLIPP, you can compare the prices on the meat. And, if you want chuck steak, usually somebody has chuck on sale. If you want a ribeye, not every week somebody has it on sale, but, within a month, somebody will. New York strips, top sirloin. Every once in a while you see a hanger steak or something like that in there. And they do run ads on grass-fed. In fact, I'll share a couple of screenshots. I got a couple more props here to show off. I got this stuff packed to keep it cold, of course. So
no meat was harmed during the making of this episode.
What's that?
No meat was harmed during the making of this episode.
No meat was defrosted in the making of this. Buy the bacon in bulk and save. You get it for $3.99 a pound. That's usually pretty good. And let's face it, would you rather eat a hot dog or would you go back to eating carbs? A package like this big ass package of beef hot dogs is only like $6.99 at the big box stores. And yeah, it's not pure. It's got corn syrup and stuff like that in it, but it's a very small amount. I don't have a reaction to these, and I only eat them occasionally. And let's face it, sometimes you need something convenient to eat, and cooking up a hot dog or just having a little bacon or something is a way to go. Now, when steaks are on sale, this is a ribeye that's been vacuum packed and frozen. So the vacuum packing kind of prevents all that frost from building up on there, and really cuts down on the sort of freezer burn taste and stuff like that. So if you vacuum pack a nice steak like this, you could keep it in the freezer a lot longer. I don't really know how long, but I would imagine you could probably get away with like a year or something like that. So to vacuum pack something like that, you can get a machine like this. I've had this one for quite a while, since long before I was a carnivore. This one's called a Foodsaver. So, and basically you it has you use these rolls of plastic bag you could see in there, and it seals it for you and sucks the air out, thus creating a vacuum. And some people even marinate their meat and pack it in there, which is set up to do. And then you could throw it in the freezer, and when you take it out, or just the refrigerator, when you take it out, your meat's all marinated for you. And of course, tends to keep longer when you pack it that way. So,
and isn't that also how people sous vide? That they also sous vide with those, or is it a different plastic?
Yeah, they use that. They typically use that same setup to vacuum pack their meat. Let's say if they're sous vide meat, and often in a marinade or seasoning, and then they put it in the hot water bath for a long period of time. And that's what sous vide is. So true sous vide is done in a vacuum. So not everybody vacuums it, but I've seen plenty of people doing videos where they're sous videing stuff and it's not actually vacuum packed. A lot of people are leery about cooking something in plastic. Sous vide tends to be low temperature, and the results can be amazing. I know, like our buddy Joe, he's willing to put up with the risk of cooking in plastic. I've actually done sous vide in a canning jar in a crock pot. So I've been trying not to buy new appliances and have more stuff around the house. So I kind of improvised, and I like the idea of it being in a glass jar rather than the plastic, and just using a crock pot. The temperature control on a crock pot, of course, is quite a bit cruder than it would be with like a sous vide machine or sous vide wand or something like that. But I had pretty good success with it. I wasn't overly in love with the end product, but I tend to like my meat less cooked. You know, like Charmaine was talking about pressure cooking pot roast, or like a chuck roast. But and I grew up eating a lot of that, and now I prefer steaks that are just barely cooked, maybe a little seared on the outside, or even I eat plenty of them just raw when they're fresh. So I kind of fallen out of love with cooking. So that's just personal taste though, right?
Right. So one of my stories that I forgot to tell, but now I remembered. So when there was the limits, I remember I went to, I want to say Ralph's, and the rib roast, the whole entire like rib roast, not the cut steaks, the whole thing together was on sale. I want to say $4.99 a pound. Like that's a lit sale, but they had a limit of buying only two proteins, two meats, and so I go there, and so what I end up doing, so there was like a whole rib roast, like, the whole thing, like that looked like it was literally taken off the side of a cow. And then one that was about like half the size of that one, right? And so I was like, well, I mean, this is two proteins, you know what I mean? So I walk up with them to the checkout, I put them down there, and the lady looks at me, she scans them, and she's like, I'm gonna have to ask my manager. And I'm like, okay, it's cool. Like I figured they were going to give me some kind of thing. And the manager looks at it, and she's like, well, I mean, he is following the rules. It is two proteins. They were just huge, Yeah. I must have walked out with, probably 25 pounds of meat that were just two pieces, So that's a little hack if that ever happens again. If the rib roast is on sale during a pandemic, just grab two of the biggest you can find, and they can go pound sand about it.
Yeah.
And then another thing that's cool is holidays. Around the holidays, week before or that weekend of, look at Flip, look at the ads, because usually the steak is on sale and the ribs are on sale, like pork ribs are on sale.
Yeah.
So usually I can buy 10 pounds of steak, whether it be ribeye or New York, and like 10 pounds of pork ribs. And you know, the pork ribs are usually like $1.50 a pound. So I mean, it's a total steal. And you know, you can either barbecue them, cook it in an oven, or smoke them. You know, and I get it. Like some people can't do pork, and you know, I get it. Pork seems to need to be more heavily seasoned than steak. So like with the steak, I can just throw on salt, throw it in the air fryer, and I'm good to go. But with the pork, I mean, I need seasonings, I need flavor, I need mustard, you know, while it's bacon, cooking, or on the grill. Um, you know, but hey, everyone's different. So, you know, if you can tolerate it, I mean, going with pork ribs.
Mm.
I used to love pork butt a lot more, and pork and you know, beef roast. But now I don't know, they're not as appealing, I think, because I used to eat them with potatoes and carrots and, you know, do it up, you know, that way. And now without, I mean, it's just not as satisfying.
Yeah, well, and you know, Charmaine was talking about the pork butt being the only chunk of meat that she could find, and my buddy Aaron turned me on to just throwing those in the smoker, right? So, smoking a pork butt is probably the easiest cut to smoke, and it's a big hunk of meat. So you're gonna, you know, you do like 8, 9, 10, 12 pound pork butt, pork shoulder, you know, Boston butt, picnic roast or whatever, and you got meat for a week, and they smoke really well. Those ribs you got, they smoked really well, you know. So it's particularly now it's hot here, so being able to cook outside is a bonus. So those big cuts of meat could be very inexpensive, $2-3 a pound for regular meat. The you know, the higher end naturally raised meats are a little more expensive, but still a bargain compared to other cuts. So that's a hot tip. And you're right, shopping here in the United States, you know, 4th of July, Labor Day, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Christmas, New Year's, freaking Halloween. There's always you'll see cuts like ribeye in particular seem to always be on sale at stores, and that's a good way to go with the freezing them in a vacuum sealed bag. You can stock up when they're on sale, and then it'll get you through the times when they're limited. Because I know, like, I was buying those New York strips. The store didn't have any limit this week. But then I was looking at this ad. I'm going to screen share. Let me know when it shows up. I noticed this ad here. These New York strips are at Stater Brothers, and which is known for carrying good meat. They're only $3.99 a pound, and there is a limit, but it's 15 pounds. You know, that's a lot. That's, you know, that's more than 15 steaks, because the New York strips are usually under a pound a piece. And, you know, one of the things you could do is you could just make more than one trip. So like when I have steak in the freezer as a backup and I'm buying fresh steak, I go like every 2 days and buy one of those family packs like I was showing earlier. And so I'm always getting fresh cut meat every 2 or 3 days. And, you know, with limits of 15 pounds, I'm probably only going to buy like 4 or 5 pounds at a time tops. So that's a good way to shop the sales and have a supply of good cuts of meat. I mean, $3.99 a pound. That's some outstanding nutrition for $3.99 a pound.
Yeah, I remember like kale would be like, I mean, $1, you know, a leaf or whatever it was when I was all into that. Ooh, what's that, Tom?
This is at Ralph's, and they're running boneless chuck steaks or roast for $2.99. So chuck steaks, like that's what Charmaine was talking about, putting in the Instapot and slow cooking for a while. So I've eaten plenty of chuck myself. If you can get your hands on the chuck eye, that's like as good. It's just as good and fatty and tender as a ribeye. They tend to be in short supply, I think, because people buy them up really fast. So if I go someplace like Stater Brothers and I ask for a chuck eye, sometimes they have them, but they're usually sold out. If you go to like one of the big Mexican supermarkets like Superior or something, they tend to have them on the shelf. But like you said, that they kind of cater to a crowd that seems to like thinner cut meat. And I know, like you and I, when we get a ribeye or a New York strip with like a thick, like 3/4 to an inch thick is the way to go. So, but still good eats for a good price.
And know about the chuck is that, if you have a meat grinder, you can totally turn that into fresh ground really easy.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, and I picked up a meat grinder at Bass Pro Shop. It was actually a Cabela's brand meat grinder. It was really nice. I got it after Christmas, I think like $40 or something, and it works great. And it's much easier to take apart and clean than I thought. So, like, I can grind a bunch of chuck and then take it apart and wash it. It basically has some pieces that you take and you wash just like any other dish that you might be cleaning. So it's really easy to put together, take apart, clean, and everything, and totally worth it. Because like I said, I can't get the fresh ground chuck like I used to, so it's nice to have an alternative. So this is at Aldi. They've got more chuck steak for $2.99. Now, interestingly enough, you might notice that at Aldi, the meat, when their ad comes out on Wednesday, the meat's only on sale usually for the first 2 days, which is something interesting. And I was talking to the employees there, and they're like, yeah, you pretty much need to get here when we open Wednesday morning, because there's people that come in here and buy it up, and it's kind of first come, first serve. And so Aldi might have a good deal, but it's only available for 2 days a week, and it's frequently sold out. So anyways, those are the slides I grabbed off. Again, that app is called Flip. It's FLIPP, and I learned about it from Justin. I know Sean Baker, he talks about another app. I forgot the name of it, but like it's called like Grocery Getter or something like that. And you basically just type in what all these apps use like your zip code. In the US, we have a numbering system for the areas we live in. So you punch that in, and then you look for what you want. It brings up all the ads for the markets in your area, in your zip code, and then you can just skim through real quick. I know we started getting the ads. The ads started coming, little paper printed ads started showing up recently on our driveway. Somebody delivers them. Before that, everybody relied on the newspaper to get them, and hardly anybody subscribes to the newspaper anymore. So obviously having it delivered to being able to look at it on your phone or your computer is probably a little more convenient than having to have the paper ads. So it's kind of a good way to go, and it's a good way to save money. It's a good way to make sure you have food on hand, especially when we get these strange scarcities that sort of come and go. Shopping the sales can really make a big difference. I know a lot of people are out of work right now. They're depending on unemployment benefits or something like that. So being able to plan ahead and budget your food, being able to eat New York strips for $3.99 a pound. Most people only need 2, maybe 3. A really big person that's working out might need 4 of those a day, but you're looking at, if you ate 4 steaks at $3.99 a pound, that's probably less than $15 a day, and you're eating a top-notch steak. Same thing. I mean, it could be a ribeye. So typically we get meat like that on sale anywhere from $2.99 to what, $6.99 a pound when it goes on sale, Justin, for ribeye.
Yeah, I mean, on the high side, $6.99, and then it's up to you. Sometimes I feel like I'm watching the stock market, because it's like, okay, do I buy or do I stay? Do I stock up? do I buy more? You know, am I just craving it? What's the freezer look like? You know what I mean? So I mean, definitely $3.99 is something to go. That's something to write home about. And what's cool about Flip is that you can share it with your friends. You know, like I'll see
Right.
something and I'll text it to Tom or message it to Tom,
Right.
or Tom will see something. Well, usually Tom sees it before me nowadays.
I learned
But
from the best.
and then he sends it to me. So I mean, you know, if you have a carnivore friend or a carnivore family member and you both have the app, I mean, you know, one of you can just be ahead of the game, and then on the way back from work or, you know, out doing other errands, get a text, oh man, this is on sale, let me go grab that up, you know. And it just, I mean, just like carnivore, how it makes eating so simple, it makes shopping simple. And, you know, when are you, okay, let's say you have a year in the freezer to eat that steak, it's gonna get eaten. You know, like you
Yeah.
almost have no worry of stuff going rotten. I don't think I've had one piece of meat go rotten on me and I still ate it, but that was because I took it on a trip, you know, 10 hours away and back, you
Right.
know. Um, so it did like 600 miles or something like that, or over that, you know, but that's that no one's, the most people aren't doing that. Um,
Right.
but no, I mean, stock up the freezer. I mean, you know, get a second freezer. I don't know, because it's gonna pay off, you know. Unfortunately, it's sad to say, but the price of meat is probably going to continue to go up. Um, Not just as more and more the keto and carnivore drives the price up, because more and more people are buying it. And, you know, there is some competitive regenerative, but unfortunately, there are only like 3, 4 major meat processing plants or something like that, right, Tom? Like, there's
Well,
really
there's
not.
4 big companies that dominate everything. They have, each one of them has multiple plants, but basically it's, meat processing or meat slaughtering has been consolidated. And, that's one of the things, myself would like to see that broken up, because I think, one, they're all kind of try to move into plant-based meat substitutes because they think they're going to be more profitable. But two, also, we tend to see that they are more vulnerable to all kinds of breakdowns in essentially it's easy to compromise the food delivery chain when you have consolidated companies like this. So,
Yeah, so I mean, like a lot of things, you know, try to have 6 months of meat on hand. You know, why not?
if you can,
If
sure.
you
Yeah,
can, yeah. You know,
that's a lot of
uh,
meat.
well, depends on how much you eat, I guess. Uh,
Yeah, and I don't think we discourage anybody, like if they had access to a farm where they could just go buy their meat directly, we'd encourage that. So don't think it's all about shopping at the supermarket or the big box store, because it's not. It's just where a lot of people are. It's what a lot of people can afford. It's what a lot of people have access to, and there certainly shouldn't be any shame in it, right?
Right. And I know we didn't talk about fish. I know Charmaine talked about shrimp. I wish I would have asked her where she gets her shrimp. I haven't really looked on the app for any deals. I don't eat a lot of fish these days. Um, Tom has no need to look for fish because one of his neighbors is a pro fisherman that brings him 180-pound tuna.
Well, he doesn't exactly give you the whole fish, but he does bring them home, and he is a generous friend who shares. So, yeah. So, and he also does a lot of bass fishing, and they just throw those things back. So, there's not always fish coming in. I think Charmaine goes out and catches her own fish. I think that's one of the reasons why she's so jacked, is she just paddles out, throws a net out there, hauls in a bunch of shrimp, and just brings it home. She probably catches, great whites and stingrays too, and just
Whatever falls in the net. I'm sure
whatever
she just
falls in
puts
the
it
net.
in her teeth and just
Yeah,
swims her way back to shore, and she's good.
right. Yeah. So that's probably where she gets her shrimp.
Probably. I think you got a good point.
So, anyways, anything else you want to throw in there, Justin?
No, I think that does it, at least until prices change, or if, you know, we'll try to update our community on on this as it moves forward. We're not out of the weeds yet, so yeah, just I think the Flip app will continue to, and it's free. It's a free app. They don't
Yeah.
even give you advertisements or anything. I think
No, it's
it just,
interesting, huh?
yeah, doesn't bug out, no malware or anything like that. And
No.
I think because, it increases the sales of the stores, because they figure if people are walking in there for steak, I mean, I sometimes walk in and buy extra stuff than just meat, whether it be cheese or some, cleaning product or some more dish soap, because being carnivore seem to always need dish soap.
Yes, dish soap. That's the one thing I need more of is dish soap. But yeah, I mean, and I like to make the point that I seem to spend less money on groceries now, right, than I did before I was carnivore. And the only extra thing I'd say I need more dish soap and more dental floss. But outside of that, I buy way less stuff.
Well, I got my water pick, so I don't really need the floss. But yeah, definitely more dish soap. The best one, you can only do the one that gets rid of all the grease. Anything else, you end up with greasy dishes still.
It's true. Dawn gets grease out of your way. I'm just saying. So, anyways, but yeah, we just wanted some tips for the people out there who are going through lockdown for the first time, or maybe you're looking for alternatives. Maybe you found like getting meat delivered was too expensive. And Charmaine had some good ideas of using Instacart. I know Instacart's around. I hadn't really tried it or any of the other services yet, but if it only costs you $5 to $10 and you get to skip a 2-hour trip to Costco, I could see the value in that. So anyways, but yeah, I just want to thank everybody for watching, and we're thinking about all our friends out there who are trying to work this out. I know it's going to be particularly difficult for people who are just getting started. Everybody thinks you're crazy because you don't eat cereal anymore. You're not eating bread anymore, and they can't imagine why you don't want a donut or some cookies. And
I mean, $1 breakfast, I mean, for a donut, I mean, I get it,
Oh yeah, I get it. That stuff's tasty, but
what you pay in medical bills and time and suffering later on, it just
right.
doesn't seem to be worth it.
Yeah, or getting your teeth filled or pulled or dentures or whatever else you need. So
True.
yeah. So anyways, just a little helpful hint out there for all the folks who are shopping for meat and not knowing what to expect with the supply going up and down, the prices going up and down. Try and shop the sales if you don't have access to direct meat from a local farmer. And until next time, I hope everybody out there eats meat, feels better. Give us a thumbs up, like the video, subscribe. It's more important than ever to subscribe to not just me, but all your favorite YouTubers, especially your independent content providers, because you want to make sure that you are not getting unsubscribed to the people you're already subscribed to, because it's been happening a lot lately. And maybe send the link on for this video to someone else who might help them. And until then, try not to
Fall down the carb hole.
fall down the carb hole.